Commodity markets are gaining ground this morning after China pledged to make its currency more flexible. For the reaction, we're joined now by Jonathan Barratt, Managing Director at Commodity Broking Services, who's visiting in Singapore. Jonathan, which commodity markets do you see as most likely to get the biggest boost from this news?
Look, I think it's going to be generally the primary input markets, which I think we will see that lift, particularly the copper, the iron ore prices. And I think the main reason for that is that they've really come under pressure over the last couple of months. And this sort of news will just reinvigorate the demand for these primary inputs. And I think those prices will start to trade higher over the coming couple of weeks, certainly over the next couple of sessions.
Well, looking specifically at copper, you mentioned, it's down about nearly 20% from this year's highs. Yeah. How much higher can we go on this news?
Well, I think it's interesting when you focus on what's happening. The housing market in the States started to drift off, and we had concerns on consumption there. We also had some concerns on consumption in China as well, where the market was settling off. In fact, we've actually started to see inventory builds, and that's always a concern for the price of copper. But this sort of news and what the Chinese have actually done, allowing more flexibility, does suggest that they'll use this as a tool for economic growth. And as a result of that, you can start to see these prices regain some of their losses. And I wouldn't be surprised to see these prices, well, certainly the price of some for iron ore actually regain the losses they've had over the last couple of weeks. And for copper, I see that now that we've probably got a floor in place and prices will start to appreciate probably next to that 10 to 15% going forward over the next month. And
do you think that can be sustained, or will it be a sort of a knee-jerk reaction?
Look, I think this is the key, because it is initially a knee-jerk reaction, but when we see that the recovery or the stimulus packages which we've had in the market start to come off, that's the stimulus packages in America start to come off, the intravenous drips being pulled out, then this news sort of acts as a re-stimulus to demand. And I think as a result of that, you will find that prices will start to move higher from here. So it's a stimulus, it's a re-emergence of stimulus which will carry these prices, I think, going forward. And I think China will use them, or use that flexible tool, if in fact their economies look to be soft at any stage in the future.
Now, turning to the market reaction, if you look back at 2005 when we had the last revaluation, commodity markets, the rallies there far exceeded the change in the yuan. Do you think we'll see a similar dynamic this time around?
No, not this time round. I think this is more of a gradual approach. What we've taken from the statement is that this is now more of a flexible tool that they'll use to help control growth. So when you look at it, it's a tool now that's in the bag that the central bank will use if in fact growth starts to come off. They'll look to allow the currency to appreciate. That will then stimulate internal demand, and I think that will help placate any fall off that we've had in some of the other economies. Like if you noticed in America, the economy's starting to come under pressure there. It needs a lift. This sort of action will actually help that lift and placate any fall off in the other regions.
Jonathan, finally, just looking at where we stand right now, which commodities would you buy, and how would you buy it?
Yeah, I think at the moment, when you look at copper, when you look at iron ore, and you look at oil, they've all had terrific runs. But I actually feel that I'd look at some of the softs, the wheat, corn and soya, because this is sort of package which will enable, or the stimulus packages which will push through China, will see these particular grains come more in demand. As a result of that, I think these prices will trade higher. So believe it or not, I think I'd be moving towards the grains because they're the cheapest, and I think they've got more to run.
Understood. That was Jonathan Barratt of Commodity Broking Services. Watch for more analysis of China's decision to unlock the yuan peg through the day right here. We've got interviews with asset manager Kiem Do and currency strategist Sean Callow. I'm John Gordon. This is Reuters.